How's it, guys? Now, we got chased off for water by the rain this morning. I'm still a little bit soggy, but before I could make it to my car, I was approached by another angler that asked me how I rig my switcher shrimps for drift baits. Now, this led to the thought maybe I should make a video of how I rig my soft plastics in various ways. So today, I'm going to run you through the process I use and what works for me. For the demonstration, I'm going to use the Nomad Live Ops because that's kind of where the entire idea was based around and what the question was based around. In particular, the switcher shrimp, the jerk squid, and the double down minnow. Because the switcher shrimp is really what the question was based around, and I use the other two baits in similar fashions to the way I rig the switcher shrimps. Now, for the demonstration, I am going to use the larger versions of these lures. However, it's very scalable and transferable to the 2.3 switcher shrimps and the 2.5 jerk squids as well. What you want to do is firstly gauge where your hook is going to exit your soft bait. Make a mental mark or a physical mark with the tip of your hook. Then ensure that you enter the soft bait straight on, trying to stay in the middle of the bait as far as possible as you're pushing the hook through. Feed the bait up onto the hook and you'll end up with something like this. A natural and straight bait presentation that will swim like a real prawn. Now you can see right there, that's what you want. As close to the middle as possible to ensure that your bait does not wobble to each side or do something weird when you're retrieving it. Now, the method in question that I was asked about is when I'm using a circle hook to target grunter with the smaller versions of this. It's very easy. Take your circle hook that's snelled onto your main line or onto a trace, then a swivel, then your main line, and much like you would rig a live shrimp or prawn, you take your circle hook, the first digit of a prawn, and you simply push through it. You then have a very nice natural looking presentation that will swim straight and stay alive for a long time. You can also rig it from the opposite side through the top of the head, much like this. If you're fishing strong current, this works well because it'll keep the head of your bait facing into the current, making it present more naturally. Now, another lure that works really well both in estuaries and offshore and on inshore shallow reefs is the jerk squid. I've got a 7-inch here, but you can also use the 2.5, the 3.5, the 5 and the 9 in these methods. Once again, we start with our standard jig head. This is a 701.5 ounce Harpax. It might be a tad too small for this bait, but we're going to see what it comes out like, and I'm not going to open a new packet just for the demonstration purposes. Once again, we line up our hook with our bait as straight as possible and start feeding our bait on. Making sure that our bait sits as straight as possible and presents as naturally as possible. This is a killer bait for anything reef species related. The same as with the switcher shrimp, you can fish this on a circle hook. However, this only has a single orientation through the top of a bait, just like that. Very often, if there's a lot of peckers and small fish around, and we're fishing with bait and our squid or chokka is getting pecked off, I'll fish a single large circle with a jerk squid like this on a bottom rig, and it actually works a wonder. Something else we employ in South Africa with great success to target cob or mulloway is what we call a cob catcher rig. This is essentially a short piece of trace line onto a weedless hook with a large weight attached to give us casting distance with soft plastics. Now here, most soft plastics have got 2 slits, weedless slits as well, and you'll basically just rig it in a weedless sense. The same principle applies because you want your hook to be as straight as possible inside your bait, coming out exactly in the middle on the opposite side, which for some reason I can't get done now. And this takes a little bit of practice, but with these larger, more stiffer baits, it can get a little bit challenging sometimes. And there we go. Now you have a completely weedless system with the point of your hook protected by the slit. Once a fish bites onto it, you can see it already nicked me there. Once a fish latches onto it, he'll push the soft plastic down, exposing the hook point and hooking himself. Now, you don't need to fish this with this cob catcher rig. You can actually fish this either on a weighted weedless hook like that, or if you're drifting or not casting very far or casting into structure like logs or bricks, harbor walls, you can fish it solely like that if the casting distances aren't too far and you want the most natural presentation. Lastly, moving on to minnow baits. You can use these with jerk minnows, paddle tails, basically any minnow style soft bait. Doesn't matter which brand, which configuration. For this, I'm using the double down minnow. The standard jig head approach, once again, nice and straight, ensuring that your hook point comes out at the correct area, giving your bait the most natural action. Then our weedless rig, either on a cob catcher, a weighted weedless hook, or just a plain weedless hook like that. Now remember, as I mentioned, all of this is scalable between different sizes of soft baits. Just ensure that your hook gauge, size and jig head weight are matching the size of the soft bait you're using. Just for reference, this is a 4-inch jerk squid on a 1/0 hook and a 7-gram jig head. I hope you can see this one because it's absolutely tiny. Here's a 2.3-inch switcher shrimp. This is my estuary switcher shrimp size on a 3.5-gram jig head and a number 2 hook. A little paddle tail style minnow bait on a 7-gram and a 1/0 jig head. Guys, I hope this video is helpful and insightful. If it did end up helping you in any way, feel free to drop a like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, cheers.